next thing I'd like to see happen, and after this one I'll have to go get some more coffee, as it pertains to women's rights, there is institutionalized discrimination. When I say institutionalized discrimination, I mean that our laws and our institutions back up discrimination and accept it and go with it. Not a fun topic. Let's talk about rape. Rape is against the law. It's still very difficult to prove that rape happened. There has to be a lot of evidence, because usually when a rape occurs, there's only two people that are involved at all and have witnessed it all, and it is the victim and the perpetrator, and it is literally one person's word against another. Whereas in other crimes, oftentimes there's other people involved. So generally speaking, that's one hurdle. There's many other hurdles to begin with. Also, that consent itself is sometimes a misunderstood concept thanks to our lack of sex education in our public schools. That's another topic. In Virginia law, in criminal law, the punishment for rape carries a mandatory minimum sentence. That means that if you're convicted of rape, we don't have the opportunity to just slap you on the wrist and send you home. That means that you have to do hard time in prison no matter what. You were convicted of rape, you go to prison for a long time. But under Virginia law, there is an exception. If somebody is convicted of rape, that means we've already proved it. It's obvious enough that we were able to prove it. And the perpetrator is the spouse of the victim. So that means that the two people were married and one of them raped the other one. The judge has the option of instead of the mandatory minimum sentencing, having the perpetrator go to counseling for a year or less. And that's it. And then they carry on with their life. So as a society, we've decided that rape is so horrible that it needs to have a mandatory minimum sentence, that every single person who's convicted of rape needs to go to jail for a really long time, unless you're married. And that's only for first offense. It does say, okay, but the next time your spouse rapes you, then they go to jail. So we're okay with somebody being raped multiple times by their spouse. We're not going to do anything until it's happened multiple times. That's assuming you can prove it multiple times. Also, what's to say that the victim is going to report it the second time? If nothing occurred and you're back in the same situation to begin with from the first time, why on earth would a victim trust the legal system enough to be able to go through all of that again to report it a second time, when the first time it was swept under the rug with counseling? Really? Counseling? That is just one instance in which the law is completely inadequate to protect victims. I understand that my opponent is involved, at least in a political sense, in several organizations for helping violence against women. Unless you're fighting to bring some kind of institutionalized solutions, you're not doing your job. Sorry, dude. As a delegate, as a legislator, your job, my soon-to-be job, will be to fix the law in such a way that it benefits and protects the citizens that we are here to represent. And attending meetings and patting people on the back isn't actually that. It's not actually accomplishing that. So unless you're going to propose some kind of legislation, and I say this to all delegates, unless you're going to propose some kind of legislation that actually does something, then you don't get to say that you're against violence against women. That's not how that works.